Okay, so here we go with another G.I. Joe Classified Series unboxing, and this is Jason Shockwave, Feria, and Night Pursuit from the Nightforce sub-team. Big old box. So yeah, like they went from, oh, we got to be green, we got to have these smaller, plastic-free boxes, to just whatever, just put them in the biggest box we could possibly make for them. Here's a nice photo on the back of Shockwave on the Night Pursuit cycle, a repaint of the Ram cycle, of course. This is, I believe, the third Ram repaint we've gotten. Might as well get the use out of the mold that we can. So this time it's in a dark gray color for the Nightforce theme. Now, I don't think that they really captured the flavor of the Nightforce vehicles as well. Like they really, they could have had like some red accents on here, and I don't think that any of these decals glow in the dark. But it's still a cool looking motorcycle, so I'm not going to complain too much about that. I'm just pointing it out. I'm not complaining. So also, something else that I noticed as I was looking over him on the website is that this is not just a simple repaint of the previous Shockwave figure. This is, in fact, quite a bit different. So we're going to get into some of those differences as we open this up. So there's a really nice piece of artwork here on the side with Shockwave attaching the suppressor to his submachine gun. He comes with different accessories from the regular Shockwave. He's got some different parts on this figure from the previous Shockwave. This is figure 127. I saw this on the Walmart website the other day. I'd been looking for it for a while, both in the physical stores and at the Walmart app. Just trying to find it any which way I could, but hadn't had much luck. And then one of the guys in one of the G.I. Joe Facebook groups that I'm in, he pointed out that Shockwave was on sale on the Hasbro website. So not only did I get Shockwave, but it turns out that they had the Nightforce version of Tunnel Rat for only $10. You might still be able to get that deal if it's still up there. But anyway, let's go ahead and open them up. Yeah, like and what it was kind of a shock to me to see that Tunnel Rat for $10, and I thought it was just the regular Tunnel Rat, so I bought an extra one, because I figured, well, I can use an extra one for customs or whatever. If I had known it was the Nightforce version, I would have bought two, so I could have an extra one of that. But maybe I'll be able to catch that deal later. Maybe it'll still be up. God, it's such a big box, and I don't think the box that Breaker came in was this big, and I know the one that Duke came in wasn't this big. But I don't have either of those boxes anymore. Those are long gone by this point. I'll put those in the recycling bin at my old house. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get some of these accessories out of here. And some of them are taped in. Not all of them are taped in, but some of them are, which is unusual. So, right off the bat, I gotta say I really like this accessory. So one of my problems with the previous Shockwave figure is that the original vintage Shockwave figure from the 80s had like really cool accessories. It had a submachine gun with a suppressor on it. It had Desert Eagle pistol, and it had a big knife that fit into his backpack. So this version of Shockwave did not come with a backpack, and he did not come with a Desert Eagle. He does have two submachine guns that fit into these holsters, but really, I think I'd said this at the time, what I would have done instead was give him Desert Eagles to go into the holsters, and then given him a submachine gun separately. And this would have been a perfect submachine gun to give to him. Well, almost perfect. I think it probably could use that, the stock, the folding stock that the original submachine gun had, but this is still a pretty cool one. It's kind of funny, much like with this the Super 7 Snake Eyes figure that I opened up a while back. It looks like the handle of the gun slings back a bit further than it would on a, I think it's like a Mac 10, is it? like I said, not an expert in handguns. I could be mistaken. Not an expert in any kind of guns. So this one's kind of buried deep into the packaging. I'm going to try to get it out without bending it up too much. I don't know how successful I'm going to be. And of course, they had the. Where did it go? I think it landed in here somewhere. Hopefully, it didn't fall to the floor. The magazine came out. The clip came out when I pulled the gun out. Oh, that's irritating. Well, it doesn't look like it went anywhere in the package. That means it fell somewhere in the floor, which is kind of cluttered right now with all this stuff that I've got here. So now I'm missing that clip. That's just fantastic. Okay. Let's move on. Why do they do stuff like put it in there separately? That way I don't have to worry about losing it. And then we have this rather large machine gun. Thankfully, I didn't lose the ammo for that. And I can't really use a machine gun without ammo. I can't really use that rifle for anything now until I find that ammo. There's a little drone. So there's that. And then we have this minigun. And this minigun should be familiar with anybody who's bought the Ram cycle before. It pretty much is the same minigun that comes with that, only this time it looks like they finally straightened out the barrel at least a little bit. It's not quite as crooked as they have been previously. And of course, the ammo drum comes off of that. But thankfully, it didn't fall on the floor since it's not like attached in that loosely. And then he's got a handgun. If I can get that out of there. There we go. And it's just a little kind of Glock-looking handgun. Put that aside for now. And then 2 knives. And these should, I believe, be the same 2 knives that come with the previous Shockwave figure, the blue one. Yep. Only this one has a black handle on it, and the new one has a kind of gunmetal gray handle on it. And then this one, again, this is just a solid black knife, and the new one has a gunmetal gray blade. All right. And then the last accessory for the figure is this backpack. Now, I suspect that this backpack is reused from something, probably whatever that drone originally came with, but it's not a figure that I have, I don't think. So he does have a little remote control device that fits in the back. So, and you can see that it's got a little hole there. And I'm thinking maybe the drone is supposed to attach into that in some way. But it doesn't look like there's a peg on it, so I guess not. It probably attaches to this backpack in some way. But I can't figure out how. Oh, maybe this. No, that doesn't quite want to go in there. Oh well. Like I said, I'm pretty sure this is probably reused from something, but I don't think I have that figure, whatever it is. So we'll set those pieces aside for now. And then this helmet. Man, I'm just so bothered that fell out the way it did. And it's like it could have very easily landed somewhere else in this bubble. But no, it seemed to somehow bounce out of the package and go wherever it went. I don't know. I really need to clean up. There's a lot of clutter here. I've got a little boxes of things. I need to clean a lot of this stuff up anyway. So maybe I'll try to do that later and hopefully be able to run across it wherever it went. That's just really disappointing. They should have had that more secured in the package in some way. Like put it separately in the package or something. I don't even like having the removable clips in magazines. I'd rather they just make them like solid on there, and that's exactly the reason why. Because then once you lose that magazine, the gun is worthless. You can't have a gun without the ammo. So anyway, so here's the little thing that the minigun fits into. So let's go ahead and put that together just for now. We're gonna have to take it apart later, but that way I don't lose the wheel. So, and it's the same one that came with a regular Ram cycle, only now again dark gray. So, and then the figure itself, and they got his hat on in the package. So I'm gonna be really careful that I don't accidentally drop his hat. In fact, I'm just gonna take his hat off. So I'm already bummed about losing that magazine. So anyway, so there's the figure out of the package. Let's go ahead and put his hat back on. Maybe it'll actually stay on. And it seems like it stays on fairly well, except for I accidentally knocked it off. But that was just because like I moved my hand in an awkward way. There, it stays on okay. Like I guess when a kid's playing with it or something, it would stay on all right. But I don't think it stays on quite as well as the previous Shockwaves figure. I'm gonna take the hat off of him while I talk about the articulation. So the first thing that I notice about this figure that's different from the original Nightforce figure back in the 80s is that original Nightforce figure was different from the very first Shockwave figure in that he had like a gray and green uniform. So most of the outfit was gray and the vest was green. So he actually looked a little more military than the original Shockwave, who was supposed to be a SWAT team member. Which is why he's wearing blue, because he's a cop. But this one actually had some olive drab and some gray to it. But it was plain gray on the jumpsuit, whereas this new version actually does give the suit a camo pattern. So you can see there's like a digital camo pattern over him. And to compare with the original Shockwave figure, it is not the same camo pattern. It is a different camo pattern. But you can see it's only over the legs, too. That's something else. So he's got camo on the legs, but no camo on the arms. And these are not the same arms because this Shockwave figure reused mostly Stalker with Beachhead's boots. And this one seems to more reuse parts from Airborne. So that is interesting. That is definitely a different way of doing that. So I don't know why the decision was made. Maybe they just had more access to the Airborne molds to begin with, but sure enough, he reuses parts from Airborne rather than parts from Stalker. So that's interesting. So he's got the padding on the elbows and everything. So anyway, let's look at his articulation. Shockwave can look up about that far, so not that far. He can look down about that far. Rotate his arms at the shoulders all the way around, and the arms move up horizontally about that far, or vertically. I mean, whatever. He's got butterfly joints. The arms move forward at the shoulder, or backward at the shoulder about that far, and forward at the shoulder about that far. He does have a bicep swivel, so the bicep rotates all the way around. Got double jointed elbows. That's about the range of motion you get at the elbows. He's got wrist joints that rotate all the way around. And this one has a vertical hinge, so you can move his wrist up and down like so. And this wrist rotates all the way around. And it has a horizontal hinge, so you can move his wrist back and forth like so. All right. He's got torso articulation underneath the vest, but the vest is going to kind of hinder it a little bit. And he's got this waist articulation kind of reminiscent of an 80s G.I. Joe figure, but it is not on an O-ring. It is on a ball and socket. So Shockwave can kick up about that far. Nice range of motion for the kick going forward. He does have the cool drop-down hits like G.I. Joe Classified tends to have. Thigh cut, so the thigh rotates all the way around. Double jointed knees, that's about the range of motion you get at the knees. Boot cut, so the boot rotates all the way around. Toe bends down, ankle bends down about that far, and the toe can point up. Oh, damn, oh, I got it stuck. There we go, about that far. And of course, since it's that Hasbro rocker ankle, it rotates all the way around. So nice articulation at the legs, ankles, all that kind of stuff. Good articulation on this figure. Now let's talk about his accessories a little bit more. So he's got a backpack, unlike uh, the original classified Shockwave, but it still doesn't hold the big knife. Maybe this thing on the bottom will hold the drone. It seems like the drone should be held somewhere. Oh, and the legs fold out on the drone, and the yeah, so it does have a little bit of articulation as far as that goes. And he's got like a lot of tools and stuff sculpted into the back. Like I said, I'm pretty sure this is reused from some figure, but it's not a figure that I have, so I'm not sure which one. If anybody knows, let me know in the comments. I'd appreciate your insight. So he does not come with a Desert Eagle. He comes with like a little Glock, kind of Glock-ish type gun. Probably just enough of a Glock that you can tell it's kind of a Glock, but it does kind of have a trigger guard like a Desert Eagle, but it's way smaller than a Desert Eagle would be. So there's what he looks like holding that. And how well does that fit into this holster? A lot better than Airborne's gun fits into his holster. I'll say that. So then we got the two knives. He's a guy who likes his knives. I believe the original figure had two knives sculpted onto the figure in the same places that this has knife sheaths, one on the leg and one on the vest. And then he came with the big combat knife that went into his backpack. So Shockwave was carrying like 3 knives on him. That's a guy who likes knives. And then this funky one, that one goes into the leg holster, leg sheath, sorry. Well, let's have a look at him with some of these other weapons. Now, I'm not gonna fool with this one since I lost the magazine. Hopefully I can find it later on. Maybe this is it. I found it. Okay, good. That makes me a lot happier. So, since I found this, it's gonna get glued in. I'm gonna glue this thing in so I don't lose it again. Because man, that really disappointed me because that is a cool looking gun. So since I found it, let's go ahead and we'll have a look at it with this gun since I found it. And if I had my glue where I knew where it was right now, I'd already have it glued. But I don't know what I did on my glue right now. I know I was using it on something earlier, so I'll just have to try to find it later. But there he is with that rifle. So, and it does have a foregrip on it. Let's see what he looks like with the foregrip in his hand. Also, this foregrip has it's hinged, so you can fold it up if you want to. So, but I always like having guns with foregrips on them because it makes it a lot easier for the character to be posed where they're holding it with 2 hands. So there he is with that. Pretty cool. Another thing I'll point out about this version of Shockwave versus the previous one is that he has a lot more paint detail on his actual face. Like you see where there's like some dark shadow around the eyes. Probably he's actually wearing like some camouflage makeup since it is a Nightforce figure. You can see that the previous one does not have that. He just has regular Caucasian type flesh there. His real name is Jason Faria. I did look it up at one point to figure out what ethnicity that is, and it turns out that it could be Spanish or Italian or Portuguese. So in my mind, I decided that Shockwave is of Portuguese descent because I know there's lots of Hispanic Joes already, and there's lots of Italian Joes already, but I couldn't think of one that was of Portuguese descent. So that gave us a little more diversity to our team. So that's my head canon anyway. So yeah, I like this submachine gun, especially now that it has a magazine. So I'm going to very carefully take this out of his hand, very carefully make sure that I don't drop the magazine again, and then we'll go on to we'll just keep going bigger with these guns, and then we'll see him with the machine gun. Now, this is not a gun that I particularly think of as being one that Shockwave uses with any frequency, but man, it's a cool looking gun. and I think it's maybe even a little big for him to hold. Let's see. But yeah, there he is with that machine gun. It's really cool. I really like it. All right. So, but that's probably going to get given to another character since, like I said, it's not really one that I like associate with this character too much. I'm gonna knock off the table. I think that's one of those extra hands I had from something else. Oh well, let's move on. And then the biggest gun. Guess we got the minigun. Why they call this monster a minigun, I have no idea. I think it's because like when it's mounted on a helicopter, it's smaller than other helicopter guns, but when a human being is carrying it, man. So like the first figure that I had that came with this would have been the heavy artillery roadblock figure, and then of course the original Ram cycle in Classified came with this minigun. So it was the minigun that was used by Breaker, so Breaker could take it out and use it as an actual minigun like this, which is kind of ironic because old school GI Joe fans know that in the original line, Breaker did not come with a gun at all. So him coming with this massive thing was, kind of a little bit of overcompensation, I think. All right, so that is almost all of the guns. And you might be noticing, Alan, you said you were gonna start, go bigger with each gun, and you still got one gun left, and it's not the biggest gun, yeah, but it's the one I'm gonna think of as being like his default gun. So let's go ahead and get this thing put in here. And that means we're gonna have to take off this ammo drum, doesn't it? I don't think the ammo drum fits on there. There we go. But it's good that he has the ammo drum. I don't think that the one that Breaker came with had an ammo drum, nor the one that Duke had. I don't seem to remember it coming with one. But I know the heavy artillery roadblock came with one. So there's a little sidecar with the minigun on it. Let's set that aside for now. And then the last of his guns, and this is the one that I'm going to consider his default gun, because it does remind me a lot of the gun that came with the original Shockwave figure back in the 80s. Oh, if only I had an extra one to give to the regular blue Shockwave, because that does look really cool with him. And just to get the full effect, let's put the hat on also. So there we go. There's Nightforce Shockwave, looking all cool. Shockwave was one of my favorite characters, and it was also one of the last GI Joes that was bought during my childhood. I was 12 years old when I got Shockwave, I believe. So that's probably why I have a bit of nostalgia for him. Now, of course, I kept collecting action figures on into my adulthood, and it was mostly Batman's fault. But so I would buy GI Joes from time to time, as even as I was growing up, and wasn't really as an adult collector, as they call it. So here he is with the helmet. It's that kind of larger Steel Brigade type helmet. It's the same one that came with Wreckage, just in different colors. So I believe this was the original use of it was on this figure. So he looks pretty cool. He does have that red on the lenses, so it kind of reminds me of Nightforce vehicles. So I guess that's the only place where he'd come in. Probably mostly why they had him come with this is because, they don't want to encourage kids to ride a motorcycle without a helmet. And that's probably a good thing to encourage. So it's probably a good thing that he came with a helmet. So, anywho, that having been said, obviously there's one other thing to discuss in this package, and that's the motorcycle itself. So this is basically a repaint of the Ram cycle. And we've examined the Ram cycle twice on this channel before. Both the one that came with Breaker and the Tiger Force version that came with Tiger Force Duke. Oh, you're being a pain. All right, so there it is out of there. Nicely detailed cycle. We've discussed it before. How it has articulation at the handlebars. Very cool. I like the decal with the bird on the side. It is kind of reminiscent of that kind of vague wing shape that's on the Nightforce logo that we could see. And the G.I. Joe logo. I do wish they, like I said, had a little more red detailing on this, because I think that would be more appropriate to the original Nightforce line. And of course, it would be nice if these decals would glow in the dark, but they don't, unfortunately. So, like I said, we've been over this motorcycle before, so we're well aware of, well familiar with it at this point. So let's go ahead and attach our sidecar on here with the Gatling gun. And of course, it's got a small peg and a large peg, so it's fairly easy to get on there. And then let's go ahead and put Shockwave onto the cycle. So we got to get him into a good motorcycle riding pose. And I'm going to turn his knife around. Usually with Shockwave, like the original figure, I like to have the knife on the inside of the shin rather than the outside. But since he's going to be on a motorcycle, I kind of feel like it'd probably be better for him not to have that up against it. And like I said, there are a lot of differences between this and the previous classified Shockwave figure, some of which are a little more surprising than others. But one that I am a little disappointed with is the fact that he does not have dual holsters, which, you know, the original Shockwave figure in the 80s famously had dual holsters. And, you know, the 25th anniversary Resolute Shockwave, he had twin holsters, which held Desert Eagles, by the way. Kind of smaller Desert Eagles, but still they were obviously supposed to look like the Desert Eagle the original figure came with. And this one has dual holsters, where he has his machine pistols in there. So I'm a little disappointed that he does not have a holster on his left thigh. But that doesn't mean he's not like a really cool figure anyway. It's just, you know, he would have been that much cooler if he still had that second holster. So now we got Shockwave on the motorcycle. Shockwave being one of my favorite characters and Nightforce being one of the cooler sub-teams. Of course, I've always been a fan of the Nightforce version of Shockwave. And they did one for the Rise of Cobra line. Even though Shockwave wasn't even a character in the movie, I guess, you know, he's still a cool enough character. Let's go ahead and make a movie figure of him anyway. And since they'd already done the original version of Shockwave for the Resolute line, even though Shockwave wasn't in the Resolute animated movie, but Shockwave's cool, so let's go ahead and put him in there anyway. So I guess they decided it'd be good to do the Nightforce version of that. And since the Nightforce version's colors are, I don't want to say more realistic, because I kind of feel like blue is a realistic, you know, color for a police officer, and that's what Shockwave is. It was certainly a more military color, and the color scheme is a bit more muted than the original Shockwave color scheme. Which, let's face it, even this more muted version of it, where the blue is slightly darker and the yellow is used a little more sparingly, it's still like a fairly loud and outrageous costume compared to the Nightforce version, as it should be. Really, the Nightforce version should be, you know, darker and, you know, a bit more subtle. He's wearing night camouflage after all, so it makes sense. I kind of feel like Shockwave is one of those guys that, yeah, he'd have like the same uniform basically in different colors. Like he might have a white version of this he wears if he's like in the Arctic, or maybe he actually does have a green version that he wears if he's on a jungle mission, or a tan version if he's out in the desert, you know, like whatever's appropriate. This is more like an urban camo kind of thing. This is more like again, what a policeman would wear in like an actual SWAT team member, like with the balaclava and the flak vest. He doesn't look too different from what the police officer looked like in RoboCop. Not RoboCop himself, but, you know, the regular, like when Murphy was a regular cop. So yeah, so that's what he looks like on the motorcycle. And I had to put the hat on him so you get the classic Shockwave look. But, you know, again, you know, just for the sake of safety, let's go ahead and put the helmet on him, as Hasbro intended. I'm pretty sure that's why he came with a helmet. So, like, they can promote safety to the kids, and that's a good thing. So, and he does look really cool with the helmet. I do like the helmet. So, anyway, I guess that's pretty much for it for Shockwave. Like I said, I found him on the Walmart website. I've never seen him in the actual physical stores. But if you go on the website, he might still be on there, and he might still be on there for a bargain price. So yeah, try to pick him up if you can. I would definitely recommend it. That's pretty much it for Shockwave. I hope you enjoyed this video. Next video I'm going to do is going to be that Nightforce Tunnel Rat, so we can go ahead and open that up. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe. All the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment and let me know what you think about Shockwave, both the character and this figure in general. I think one of the things that I always really liked about Shockwave is that he had a few pretty cool appearances in the comic book, but he definitely wasn't used a whole heck of a lot in the comic book. And he never appeared on the Sunbow cartoon because that was over by the time they put out the figure. And he appeared somewhat sparingly in the DIC, the DiC cartoons. But even by then, like, the original Shockwave figure was off the shelves by then, and so was the Nightforce version. So they used the DEF version, and I don't like that version as well as this one. It just doesn't have a lot of the same character. It's a nice figure, but it's like even more of a generic SWAT team guy than the original Shockwave was. It doesn't quite have any of the personality or anything like that. So, but it's still a pretty cool figure. It's just I like the original one best. So anyway, that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. We will talk to you next time. Bye. Oh, well, I had a point I was getting to. So, like since he wasn't used a whole lot in the comics or in the cartoon show, I was able to kind of make up my own personality for this character, and I did. So, if you did stick around after I prematurely said goodbye, let me know in the comments how you used Shockwave in your play patterns and what kind of a personality you gave to him. I remember him being really into choir in the file card. So that was a big part of how I looked at the character, is he was a choir boy. So and all that entails, he was a fairly innocent and wholesome character in my mind. But anyway, that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll talk to you next time. Bye. For real this time.